to our last book club, and we're moving on from monsters, which might be a yay or a nay, because this week we are going to be looking at bears, and specifically the bear who came to babysit, which is quite unusual, but it's a great way of generating a story, because what we're going to look at as we finish this session is how we can generate really random stories. Because if I said to you, I've got a story about a bear who came to babysit, you'd be like, hang on a minute, Chrissy, that sounds totally unbelievable. But actually, it makes for a really great story. So hello to everybody who is watching live, and I know lots of you watch Book Club, also on Catch Up, so hello to you. And it got me thinking, and what I was thinking about is, what would make a good babysitter? So if you could choose any babysitter, what would make who I should say, who would make a good babysitter, not what, because obviously it would be a living person or a living thing, because obviously the bear's not a person, it's an animal, but who would make a good babysitter? So have you got any ideas? You can pop them in the chat if you're watching on Facebook. Definitely, I think if I was going to ask my young people who would make a good babysitter, they would say somebody who's not as boring as mummy and lets us eat whatever snacks we want whenever we want. Do you think that person would make a good babysitter? Somebody who's fun and plays all of the games whenever you want it. Somebody who cleans the house, I suspect, is what a grown-up might say. So not only can, almost like a Mary Poppins, not only somebody who can look after the children, but somebody that can clean the house, cook the dinner, do the washing, and you can go out and know that your children are in safe hands. So it got me thinking, who would make a good babysitter? And the first thing I thought about is, what if I left my children, I wouldn't do, obviously, so don't need to call in to Twinkle. What if I did? Would a dog make a good babysitter? Because those of you, lots of you know that I have two dogs. I have a pug and then a Basset Beagle cross. If I sort of left and went out and left my dogs in charge of my children, would they be good babysitters? And I just have to say, this is just fictional. I would never leave my children with my dogs. And there's a reason why my children wouldn't want to be left with the dogs looking after them. And that is that if you had a dog babysitter, you may have a doggy at home. It might be a greedy doggy. But my doggies are very greedy and they just eat all of your food. So you'd come home and your children would be very grumpy because they wouldn't have had anything to eat, because the doggy babysitters would have just eaten all of your food. So then I thought, right, well, what about a goldfish? Would a goldfish be a good babysitter? Because they're kind of in a tank, so they can't eat all your food. But I think the problem might be with a goldfish. What do you think might be the problem with the goldfish? Well, I think a goldfish probably wouldn't be the best at tucking you into bed because they've got no hands. And also, they're not going to be very good at sort of keeping an eye on you, because obviously they're going to be in their tank. So probably they wouldn't be a very good babysitter. And then I thought, what about a ghost? Would a ghost be a good babysitter? You could have one in every room. And then I thought, no, that wouldn't be a very good idea, because that would probably scare my children, and they'd probably tell far too scary bedtime stories. So probably a ghost probably wouldn't be her best. And then I thought, what about a rock band? So that would be quite cool if you could have a rock band and they could come round, they could play some music and teach my young children, I don't know, how to play the guitar or something like that. I thought, yeah, they'd be really cool babysitters. My eldest is 12 and everything's a bit lame, so yeah, they would be quite cool. But then I thought, what might be the problem with having a rock band as babysitters? Well, then I thought that they might be too noisy, and then the neighbours might complain, and they might, be a bit of a problem. They might be sort of a bit antisocial with their noise. But thought they would maybe play a great bedtime lullaby. That might be quite cool. So then I thought, well, what about a pirate? Would you fancy a pirate as a babysitter? What do you reckon? They always look quite cool, pirates. Would they be a good babysitter? What might be the problem with a babysitter? Well, as a pirate as a babysitter, well, then I thought maybe they probably just spend too much time hiding treasure around your house and not actually looking after your children. And your children would then maybe find them a bit boring if they're not actually playing with them and looking after them. So I thought, nah, probably a pirate wouldn't be a very good babysitter. And then I thought, my children love science. What happens if I got some really cool scientists to come and look after them? Like, surely that would be like a really good idea. Surely they'd be really sensible and like, you know, that would be great. My kids would like it. They could do lots of science experiments. And then I thought, there might be a problem with that. The problem I thought about that one is that they might turn snack time into an experiment, and they might give my children like glow-in-the-dark squash or something, or they might come up with like a huge experiment that might go wrong and, I don't know, cause the roof to explode. So I thought, oh, maybe they're not very good. So it's really tricky. Can you think of who might be like a really cool babysitter? Because what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at this one. And this you might think is a cool babysitter. You might think it's a bit of a scary babysitter. But the story we're going to read today is The Bear Who Came to Babysit. So probably a bit like my choices, not somebody that you would instantly associate with being a good babysitter. Now, there's going to be some participation in this story because the bear says, grrr. So there's lots of bits in the story where it says, grrr, said the bear. So when we get to that point, it's written in the book as obviously Grrrr, so that you know when grrr is coming. And I want you all, us all collectively, around the country or even around the world, because I know some of you watch from other countries other than the UK. We're all going to say grrr when we get to the bear. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. And then I want to listen for your best bear impressions. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Grrr, said the bear. Amazing. Well done. So you need to listen out for the grrrs, said the bear. And let's read The Bear Who Came to Babysit. So there's the bear. Arno and Bibi were helping Mum and Mike to pack for their honeymoon. Mum checked her list. Clothes, toothbrush, tickets. We just need the babysitter to arrive, she said. We found you the perfect one, said Mike with a wink. You're going to have a great time. You'll barely notice we're gone. But little did the children know the babysitter was a great big bear. Be on your best behaviour, said Mum. We'll be back in a few days. Grrr, growled the bear. The children stood speechless, staring at their new babysitter. Arno turned to his sister. Is this really happening? He asked. Who ever heard of a bear babysitter? Shrugged Bibi. Grrr, growled the bear. That night the bear ran a bath. Don't forget the bubbles, said Bibi, handing the bear the bottle. The bear squeezed it very hard. This is fun, giggled the children. Grrr, growled the bear. The next morning, Bibi and Arno sat down at the table. I wonder what's for breakfast, said Arno. The bear gave them some extremely sticky honey. This is delicious, chuckled the children. Grrr, growled the bear. After breakfast, it was time to go to school. Arno and Bibi hopped into the car and buckled their seat belts as the bear squeezed into the driver's seat. Have you noticed who's on the front? The little sort of bobbly thing on the dashboard. Can you see it's the monster from last week? Screech! Went the brakes. Whee! Said the children. Grrr! Growled the bear. That night, the bear tucked the children into bed. They snuggled up to listen to a bedtime story. Good night, whispered Arno. Good night, whispered Bibi. Grrr! Growled the bear. The next day was Saturday, so the children slept late. Meanwhile, the bear did some laundry and then hung it on the line. Good morning, called the neighbour. I'm not sure how well the washing's going to be washed in the pond. When the children finally woke up, the bear was busy washing the dishes. Good morning, bear, shouted Bibi as they both raced downstairs. How did you sleep? Yuck, said the children. This was not how Mum and Mike usually did the dishes. In fact, the bear hadn't done anything the way that Mum and Mike usually did. They won't let you babysit again if they see all this mess, cried Arno. Grrr, growled the bear. They rushed to gather the clothes from the line and placed them in the washing machine. They whizzed around the kitchen until the dishes were spotless and the sticky breakfast mess was all cleaned up. They sped through the upstairs rooms, mopping up the bathroom and tidying the bedroom. Arno hastily patched up the curtains, while Bibi and Bear hurriedly painted the car, finishing just as Mum and Mike arrived home. Well, you both look happy, said Mike. And the house looks very tidy, said Mum. Have you all had fun? Yes, shouted the children. Grrr, growled the bear. After the bear had gone, Mum asked the children, would you like your new friend to babysit again one day? Grrr, growled the children. And look, there's the bear having a well-earned rest. So I'm not sure whether you would agree whether the bear was a good babysitter or not. They were very fun. They let them have honey for breakfast, but they had some very odd ideas about washing the dishes and about washing the clothes, and they crashed their car. So I'm not sure what Mum and Dad will think about them as babysitters when they eventually work out that what has happened. But I thought that actually what we would look at today is unusual story ideas. Because I think if I sat round in a team meeting and said, I'm going to write a new story for Twinkle, it's going to be about a bear and the bear comes to babysit, I think people would go, oh, don't be silly, Chrissy, that's a silly story. But actually, it's a really fun story, and I can see lots of you really enjoyed it. So I thought what we would do, first of all, is think about making up our own story using this story wheel. So we've got lots of different settings. We've got at the beach and in space and in a castle and lots of other ones. So I'm going to start it spinning, and then what I would like you to do is shout stop. And when I hear you shout stop, I am going to press the stop button. So I'm waiting to listen. Are we ready? When you think I should shout stop, then shout stop. I'm waiting to hear you. You might need to shout louder. Oh, I think I heard it. So we've got in a castle. So our story is going to be in a castle. Now we need to think who our character's going to be. Because in The Bear Who Came to Babysit, the setting was just in a house. But the character made it unusual. So we're going to do it again. We're going to think about who might our story be about. So it's going to be set in a castle. So when you're ready, I'm going to be listening for that stop. I can't hear you. So it's going to still carry on until I can hear. Oh, Oh, I think I heard somebody say stop. Oh, I'm going to move that on. That's rubbish. A prince and a castle. Do you think that's a bit too obvious? Should we try again? Let's see if we can stop it on somebody different. Are you ready? I want something unusual. Oh, I think I heard someone say stop. Oh, it's the prince again. Well, it obviously wants us to have a prince. Shall we roll it again and see if we can have a second character then? Because a prince in a castle is pretty obvious, isn't it? We've got a fairy. So a fairy and a prince. And we need to have an object as well that's going to be part of our story. So I'm going to wait for our... Stop. Well, no, can't hear you. You need to shout louder. Are you shouting? Oh, I think I can hear people shouting. A joke book. So we have a castle with a prince and a fairy, and we have a joke book. Now, that is quite a tricky thing to make into a story, but it's something that you can have a think about. So what could our story be? So maybe the prince and the fairy don't get along. Maybe the fairy is secretly one of the castle cooks, and the prince thinks she's mean for not cooking everything that the prince wants, because maybe he's a bit spoilt. Maybe the fairy could carry a joke book around, but really inside the joke book is a secret book of spells. So everybody thinks the fairy's good at telling jokes, and maybe during the story she tries to tell some jokes, but they're really rubbish. And then maybe the prince spies her doing some magic and thinks that she's really cool after all, and they become the best of friends. Now, that seemed a really unusual story. I'd love you to have a think about your own story, and maybe you could talk your ideas to the grown-up, and I'll come at the end of the session, and when I say goodbye, I'm going to read some. You could get your grown-ups maybe to type your story, or if you're good at typing, you could type your story of what you think your story would be. But what I love about The Bear That Came to Babysit is this. It's a really unusual story, and I think that, like the story that I've literally just made up right now, I've just made up a really odd random story. And my random story is obviously about a fairy and a prince and a joke book and some spells. So I love that idea. And so what I thought we could do today is that we could make our own story fortune teller. So on it, there are lots of different ideas for lots of different stories. So hopefully you've printed it off. If you haven't printed it off, it doesn't matter. You can just watch me. Now, there's one like this, which is already pre-filled for you, or there is one that's completely blank. And the one that's completely blank, what you can use is you can use the completely blank one to make your own. But it's got lots of different ideas on it. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to cut it along here if you haven't already done so that it is a square. And then you need to you need to place it so that you can't see the pictures. So the pictures are going to be facing downwards. And you're going to first of all start by folding your fortune teller on the diagonal. So that's one. And I would always say try and do it with a really, really sharp fold. That's the word I'm looking for. And then unfold it and then do the opposite corner. Like so. So that when you unfold it, what you'll have is you'll be able to see like a cross. So you have one this side and one this side. So I'm just going to show you again. You're going to fold one corner to make one triangle, open it out, take the other corner, fold it, open it out, and then you've got a perfect triangle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get all of the four corners. So you're going to start with one corner and you're going to fold that corner carefully to the centre, like so. Okay. And then you're going to swivel it round, and you're going to do the same for this way. Fold that one in. And then you're going to fold that one in. Oh, gone a bit far. We're going to fold that one. I've done a very good job with that one. Fold that one in. And then you're going to fold that one in. Okay. So all we've done is we've got our thing, we've folded all the corners into the middle. And so we've got all our pictures now. We can see some pictures, but what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. So we're going to turn it over. So we've got the square with no folds on it. And then what we're going to do this time is exactly the same. So we're going to fold this one into the corner, into the centre rather. I'm going to fold this corner into the centre. You see what I'm doing? And then we're going to fold this corner into the centre. I'm going to fold this corner into the centre. So can you see? So we've got all of the corners folded in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just fold the paper in half, like so. And then you're going to open it out. And we're going to fold the other side in half. And then what we are going to do is, so we've got it like this, is there should be some little pockets for you to put your fingers in. So you're going to put these two fingers in this bit and these two fingers in this bit, and then you're going to lift it. Okay, so that all the triangle, you might need to sort of help it a little bit and poke it out a little bit. And I then sort of fold these to make sure, and then you've got your fortune teller. And so our fortune teller should go open this way and open this way, like lots of little mouths. Okay, and how this works is you're going to say to, so if you're going to do it with your grown-up or a friend or a sibling or somebody or your next door neighbour, what you're going to do is you're going to choose a story opener. So you might choose on a dark, cold night. And how you do it is you then do this on a dark, cold night. And then you look here and you're going to pick one of these. So there was a beautiful bird, there was an old man, there was a black cat, there was a green frog. So I'm going to pick there was an old man. And so I'm going to then take this and I'm going to go, there was an old man. And then I'm going to pick I'm going to open it. I'm not going to pick one of these again. I'm going to open it at a random slot. And it said, who lived on their own. And then I have to carry on the story. So I had an old man who was living on his own, and we don't know what the story's going to be. So you could do it in any other way. So you could say they might pick purple, which is long, long ago, and you might then spell out purple. So Purple, and then it might go for there was a beautiful bird. So long, long ago there was a beautiful bird, and I might go BIRD. So there's a beautiful bird, and I'm going to pick another one of these. There was a beautiful bird who ate a shoe. So that's an interesting story. A bird who ate a beautiful bird who ate a shoe. So this is a really great way for you to come up with your own stories that are a little bit random, a little bit like the bear who came to babysit. And so there is also a one in the pack that's completely blank. And you could maybe then go and ask your friends, think of lots of random people or animals, and you could write those in, and then what are they doing, and then add those in. Or you could use a story generator that we used earlier in order to populate your fortune teller. Here are the instructions in case you want them. So when we finish and I say goodbye, you can pause it. You can go back rather and pause it, so you've got the instructions. But the instructions are also on the resource. And that's it from me. So I didn't link the picture to the blog. Just to say then, there's no picture of the blog because I forgot to put it on. But just to say, do head over to the blog, because the blog has a link to, first of all, the fortune teller, and then it also has a link to the thing that we used earlier, which will help you also generate stories. Have a go at writing your own random stories. You might choose to pick the princess, the prince and the fairy in the castle with the joke book. If you do write any stories, do share them with me, because I love to read them and I love to see what you get up to. We're taking a break for Easter, so we will be taking a 2-week break, but I will be back in 2 weeks after a 2-week break for more of our short stories, games and crafts. So have a lovely Easter if you celebrate it, a lovely rest if you're having a rest, or a lovely normal home ed for you if that's what you also do. But whatever it is, have a lovely week, and I will see you soon, and happy storytelling.